Another distro review. Taking a look this time at Scientific Linux 7. Um, so, so let's get started. It is Red Hat based. Can't spell, but we'll just do that so that that picks it up. Yeah, give it a goodly amount of memory. Probably doesn't need this much. I hope 18 gigs is enough. Guess let's go tweak some settings here. A couple CPUs, most IO cache. Okay. And let's start it up. Okay. Got to put the disk in. So I'm not going to go into scale mode because this is not a text installer. It's a graphical installer. Maybe I'll go into scale mode and try to stretch that. Not a big fan of graphical installers. I'm sure there is a text installer, but it is not entirely obvious to me how to get there from that screen. So Scientific Linux, in case you don't know, is based on Red Hat Enterprise, amongst other distros, things like CentOS. This is probably, in some ways, best in breed among those based on the Red Hat Enterprise set of base sources. Just because it is pretty widely used. CentOS is okay. I didn't end up switching to scale mode. So let's run through the install. One of the reasons I hate graphical installers is they can be slow. I don't see any of these questions really where it helps to have a graphical installer, but who am I to judge? See what we can do for software selection. I want to do development. I don't want to do virtualization. I guess development workstation. So we'll put dev tools on there. And we of course want headers. Why they don't include headers and dev libraries just by default, I will never know. Put Emacs on there. Legacy X Windows. Yeah, why not? I guess that's good enough. So I will just let it auto partition and see how this goes. So as I said, it's Red Hat based. So it's from Fermilab, Fermi Accelerator National Laboratory, probably to be more exact, and also was CERN, the Nuclear Research Center in Europe. Put this together, at least historically. Now I think, and I should have checked this before I started blabbing about it, is that I think CERN is now going to a straight CentOS distro and then just adding some layers on top of it. So let me just turn on the network here. Okay. That works just fine. I'll call this something useful. Let's see, so 7. And we'll start the installation here. So, like I said, Red Hat based. It's a heavyweight. The install DVD. This isn't the everything DVD. They have an everything DVD. This is just the standard install DVD. Is about 4 gigs. Compare that to Slackware, where you get their everything is a little over 2 gigs for their install DVD, and you don't have a graphical installer. So Slackware is kind of my benchmark distro, and again, this is a different audience. This is probably meant to make administration easier and designed for large installs. I know in the business world where I'm at, everyone uses Red Hat Enterprise almost exclusively, or CentOS for when they don't want to pay for it. And I can somewhat see the logic there. Is you want something that's consistent. It's just all the steps they take to make it easy to manage to me, make it more difficult to manage. Doing Slack builds to generate packages, or under the BSDs using a port system is much less painful than dealing with RPMs. That's probably my biggest complaint about the package management, especially Red Hat package management, is RPMs and dependencies therein. Now, I don't have as much modern experience with the Debian-based stuff. I may take a look at one of those soon. I haven't used a Debian-based distro in a long time for similar reasons. I'm kind of forced into using the Red Hat style stuff just due to the nature of work, and you need to do something Red Hat based or use Red Hat itself. So one is RPMs, completely unnecessary. Slackware World does fine without dependency checking. It's up to the user, not a big deal. And to do a kind of a sparse database of installed packages, wonderful. You don't need dependencies. Everything works fine there. That being said, there is some advantage in having these things, so you can just say yum package name and go install it, provided it's in the repository. But if you have to build something that's not in the repository from source, then you have to jump through a lot of hurdles and hoops, and your admins aren't necessarily trained to do that, etc. Say heavyweight distro. Not something I would choose to use personally. The other issue I have with particularly a lot of the Red Hat stuff is it's not upstream clean. So they have made changes to everything from the kernel, libraries, bits and pieces. Now, all distros will make some change. Almost all distros will make some changes. Again, Slackware is kind of the exception. It's as close to stock on everything as possible. Well, it is an advantage. All the other distros will do things like put in their own artwork in places. Maybe change the location of this or that or the other thing. It means you may get consistency in your own install, but you don't get community-wide consistency. For instance, the kernel should be the kernel should be the kernel. You're on Linux 3.10, whatever. Just have that be standard. Maybe if you have some critical patches you need, maybe do that. But I believe that Red Hat has made the most extensive changes to a lot of these things, and that has led to some incompatibilities and some problems. So, don't take this completely as a bashing Red Hat session. I used to use Red Hat personally way back when on my Spark station. It was an underpowered Spark station, not really potent enough to run the modern Solaris at that point. So I was using Red Hat 5, I guess, for the Spark. Pretty decent. May take a look at that in a future video under QEMU, just for fun. But yeah, it's become a kind of heavyweight business behemoth. And is I guess that's what you get. There's not too much to say about it. It works for the most part. You get all the things you may want, like updates, and it easy install, I guess. Again, and if you're doing this in a production environment, you're going to be using scripted installs or images. You're not going to be going through it like this. So Scientific Linux does have a pretty big install base used around the world. So like I said, it's of the free Red Hat clones, if you have to choose one, this is the one to choose. It's well vetted, well used in many applications. Everything from workstations to high performance computing applications. So I would recommend it. Again, going back to the installer, some of those quirks where you have to pick what you want it to do, just install everything and let me configure it after the fact. So make a user here, and hopefully this will install pretty quickly. Again, it's putting in a lot of stuff. The other complaint with the Red Hat stuff is GNOME. I don't know if I expressed it early enough in my Slackware video. Not a fan. And it's gotten worse over the years. If you want your big heavyweight environment, use KDE. If you want something lighter weight, use anything else. XFCE is here in use on my laptop here. I don't know. As I said before, I use TWM for a lot of stuff. So this install sure is taking a while. This is I'm not even installing everything, and it's already significantly slower than Slackware. But again, as I saw some of the stuff going by, yeah, you get OpenJDK, which I guess is a good thing. But most people would want to throw in Sun's JDK. They're doing a lot of common Java development, or as I'm starting to move to more now, using IBM's JDK. If you can, try it. You may be surprised that its benefits not only in configurability but performance, or I should say tunability. So, yeah, little recommendation there. So, as we kind of move along on the installation here, there's not a whole lot to see. I'd like to take another bit about how Red Hat Default sets up the disk, which is using LVM. And there are good and bad things about LVM. It makes a lot of administration tasks easier. Volume grouping, volume control. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, production environment, server, yeah, I'd probably use LVM. For what I'm doing here, definitely overkill. And I think there's a kind of a move now to do a lot more LVM than there has in the past. And again, maybe I'm just a traditionalist, but for workstation use, standard partitioning, especially now if you move away from MBR to GPT, just so you get rid of that ridiculous partition limit, that'll really help out a lot. And also the other thing, on a server you probably want to have a hardware RAID controller anyway. So yeah, this is taking its sweet time, as they say. Let me switch out of scale mode there. Yeah, that's too small. We'll stay in scale mode here. So again, not terribly familiar. There's probably some way to see more information here, but what are the post-installation setup tasks? That would be interesting to know. I don't know what they are. I can take some educated guesses, but maybe, if you're going to have a ticker like this, you can, there's this region down here with this Scientific Linux banner. Put some logging there, so it's doing something, and perhaps even what it's doing. So this installation is taking so long, I am actually running out of things to say, which may also be a function that I haven't had any coffee in a while, so the mind is moving a little more slowly. Where would you use Scientific Linux or any of the kind of the Red Hat clones? You want something that's free as in beer, free as in speech, and you want to be able to have compatibility with Red Hat Enterprise. Again, SL has, obviously a big foothold in the scientific community. It's a good thing. They're going to be some of the best testers out there, especially in stuff like high performance computing. that's why I'd probably pick this over CentOS if I had to pick one or the other, and in fact I do. Um, so again, if you need support, you know, pay Red Hat and get your real Red Hat Enterprise. The other contender out there, of course, if you want an RPM-based supportable thing, is SUSE. Um, I would not hesitate to use that. And in fact, I've used it on some installs for some as the OS for some IBM software, and it works really well. So it's a little less quirky than the Red Hat stuff. So we can reboot. So hopefully this is okay. Looks like we are coming up. Well, this is good stuff. What's going on here? Okay. Yeah, not terribly speedy. So let me get out of scale mode here. We're going to put in the install the guest editions just so we get a better X display. Oh, the delay on the X is... This is pretty awful. And I've done a lot of X stuff over in VirtualBox here, and this is pretty sluggish. So again, GNOME desktop, not huge fan of it here. Again, this lag is a little annoying. So and so it's probably going to do some sort of griping. No, it actually was able to build the kernel module. So I guess it did throw the kernel source out there. Good thing. I know that's a popular thing now in Linux distros, not include the kernel source and all the dev headers. So I guess they checked all the right boxes here to get a full development environment. That's one of those things that really should be standard on any Unix. Not just Linux, but you get a Solaris, you get a BSD, unless you choose otherwise. For instance, if you install everything, unless you want a specifically slim install, give me all the headers, give me all the libraries, etc. It's not that difficult. And give me a compiler. So let me see here if I can get out of here. See, I absolutely hate GNOME, so I have no idea how to. Yeah, this is how I do it. Log out. See, showing my lack of knowledge of the latest GNOME desktop. To be honest, I haven't used any of this stuff recently, so that may explain a little bit of it. All the Red Hat boxes I'm logged into, it's all text mode stuff. Which is probably what I should have done here. Let's see what apps we get here. Programming, this is what we want. Okay. This is it. Let's take a look at Emacs. Probably the most important piece of software on here. Okay. We get Emacs. It's useful. Yeah, let's pop up a terminal and see about installing some additional software. No Elvis, okay. Let me see if they have Jed. No, no Jed. Okay. Okay, so they have S language, but they don't have Jed. Yeah. Maybe I'm not looking in the right place. Um, so like I say, this is usable. So get a compiler, you get Emacs, you get Vim. You know, my favorite editors aren't there, but I'm sure they can be installed somewhere, although obviously not through Yum. Um, maybe that's case sensitive. No? Let's see. Are available? That'll be fun. Not exactly the best search string there. Yeah, that was a mistake. Okay. Well, you know, Yum has its utilities. I mean, its utility in that you can install things easily. So, that's kind of where we're at. See, let me log out here and see if there's any other desktop environments included. With this by default. Okay, KDE. We'll give that a shot. That'll at least be a little more familiar to me. Again, X display managers. I know people do them. You know, is it wrong to just want to text login, start X? Doesn't seem all that difficult to me. But again, you know, I'm a traditionalist. If you're going to use a display manager, what's wrong with classic XDM? I like the look. You know, what was it? DT login under the common desktop environment was particularly ugly and problematic. Okay, that's a little bit more normal here. So, pop over. Dev. Okay, same stuff, so it's... So you get gedit, and you get a hex editor, okay. Not too bad. So I guess that kind of wraps it up. So you don't see me floundering with a laggy X display on desktops that aren't too familiar with me, or too familiar for me. Scientific Linux verdict for me is if you're going to run a Red Hat compatible free distro, this would be the one I'd pick. Followed, you know, close second is CentOS. But I guess the overall verdict there is you probably, unless you can avoid it, unless you have a compelling reason, for instance, commercial software compatibility, probably don't want to be running a Red Hat compatible, a Red Hat based distro. There are other better options out there. I would say, you know, Slackware Arch for most uses would probably be preferable. Slackware is obviously my choice. Or if you need something a little bit more enterprisey, SUSE Enterprise. So that's it. Thanks.